morning. Morning, everybody. Morning, Mina. Morning, Ray. Morning, Amanda. Morning, Mary. How's it going, everybody? Everybody good, happy, feeling fine? All right. Hey, Freya. Hi, sweetheart. Good morning, Renee. How's it going? How is everyone? Excellent. I just booked a flight to Vegas. Oh, that's exciting. Your sister's coming to see you when? That's fun. That's lovely. Yeah, look at somebody smiling about that. Are you smiling for Ray? Say yeah. Oh, thank you. My baby is good, Karen. Thank you for asking. We, March 10 to 14, short but excited. Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll take what we can. Yes, she is a rainbow baby. It's true. It's true. It's true. Ha, ha, ha. Yes. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Yes. Hey, Jen. You found a great book. What is it? Tell us more. Tell us more about this great book you speak of. We all need coffee. I do have two hands now. Isn't that amazing? It's so nice to have two hands. This was a suggestion from Renee. Renee linked me to the company that I got this. You're getting induced tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Ooh. You know what? My sister was induced, and my nephew is perfect. So just know that it does work, and she has no regrets about her choice to do it. Earl Grey latte. Oh, a nice London fog. It's by John Lithgow. Oh my gosh, I saw that, Roxy. I saw that. That was so funny. Literally hilarious, Roxy. I'm 100% with you. I saw that video. What a gem. We should absolutely read that book aloud. Yes. It's so perfect. I completely agree. I know. Yes. Wishes for, I know, it's so awesome people to have her all close to me for book club. I know. Yes, best wishes for your induction, but just know it's very routine. People do it all the time. I know that it's scary. I was also scared of the thought of having to be induced, so I get your fear. I validate your fear, all that. But just know that you're in good hands. You know, it's a pretty common thing that people do these days. So I'm not invalidating your fear, but you know, I need a lighthearted audiobook. Anyone have anything they love lately? Lighthearted audiobook. Let me think. Oh, well, I mean, right, it depends on the genre. Okay, so like if you want like actually the most recent audiobook that I enjoyed that is, I mean, technically lighthearted, but it's also nonfiction. I read or listened to rather audiobook about the third Gilmore Girl was here, but I wouldn't call that lighthearted. But a lighthearted one, it was about the history of the movie musical as a genre. And it's a great book. It was pretty long, actually. My hair looks, I mean, truly rat-tastic. This is awful, you guys. I'm sorry you have to see this. But if you go in my Goodreads, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, Ray, but if you go in my Goodreads, it's right there. If you don't have Goodreads, I can look for it for you after book club. But I think it's called like, I can't remember. It's something, it's on Audible for free. It's very fascinating if you like musicals. I thought it was fascinating, and I liked the way that they presented the information. I thought it was presented well. Oh, I know, right, Avery? Not only did I think that the movie musical book was presented well, I'm also fascinated by the fact that there was actually a lot of stuff I didn't know. And I know that sounds like really high on yourself, but like when you're someone like me who's been into musicals your whole life, or you have a mom like mine who's huge into movie musicals and stuff like that, you usually, when I read books like that, I'm like, yeah, I know, you know what I mean? And I like reading them anyway, but I usually just know the information already. This book had information that I did not know. Like, I'm gonna blow y'all's mind for a second. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to remember. Wait, crap, what was it? Well, I called my, it was so, there was one fact that was so shocking to me that I literally, oh, yeah, okay, I remember now. Are you ready for this? You guys, who's a musical theater person here? Like, you guys, your mind's gonna get blown by something I learned from this book, okay? And it's not a spoiler because it's a nonfiction book, right? So, like, whatever. I was reading along and they're talking about the making of the movie Oklahoma, okay? We've all seen Oklahoma, right? Like, let me put these milks away, but like, everyone's seen the movie Oklahoma, right? Okay. Yes, good morning, Sloth. We've all seen Oklahoma. No, okay, well, Oklahoma is, it's one of the first, your chat disappeared? Oh, that's weird. So Oklahoma is like a big deal in musical theater world because of the place that it takes in history, the structure that it inspired, a whole bunch of stuff like that. So anyway, I'm reading along in this book and they go to talk about who the original Curly in Oklahoma was. Anyone who's a musical theater person, can you guess for a second? I called my mom immediately. I picked up the phone. I stopped the audiobook. I picked up the phone and I said, Mom, you are never going to guess who the original Curly in Oklahoma that was cast and actually filmed, some of it was. And she had 10 guesses and every single one of them was wrong, which is unusual because she knows a lot about movie musicals. Can any of you think of someone else besides Gordon MacRae who might have been Curly before Gordon MacRae in the Oklahoma movie musical? I was shocked. I mean, truly shocked. You guys probably all think I'm the biggest nerd right now talking like this, but can anybody guess who it might have been? Shocking news. This is shocking. Are you ready? Y'all are like, Sasha, what are you talking about? Frank Sinatra. They cast and filmed part of Oklahoma with Frank Sinatra in it as the lead. What? I was shocked when the audiobook narrator said that. I literally stopped the book. Frank Sinatra, you guys, everyone knows who Frank Sinatra is. You cannot picture it. How could he be Curly in Oklahoma? Try to envision Frank Sinatra, Old Blue Eyes, the guy who sings the New Year's Eve song, singing Oklahoma. Oh, what a beautiful morning. What? I mean, I was complete. Why is it shocking? It's shocking because it's, first of all, it's weird casting. I mean, think about it for a second. Like, you know who Frank Sinatra is, right, Roxy? Frank Sinatra is like, you know, New York, you know, like all that stuff. Oklahoma is like, oh, what a beautiful morning. I have a southern accent. We cannot get that recording. So, hi, Sophie, good to see you. So we can't get the recording, and that's part of the thing, right? I guess his estate has taken away. I can't see it even a little, Nikki, not even a little. His estate won't let it show because they did not film the whole thing. Here's what happened. They started to film part of it with him, apparently, and then they decided that they wanted to film it in a different way. I can't remember what the book said. I have to go back and listen to it. But they either wanted to film it like with a different camera or something. I truly don't remember, so don't quote me on this part. But they told him they were going to reshoot some of the scenes, and he said, "You're not paying me enough for that," and he quit. Truly, that's what happened. They recast it with Gordon MacRae, and it's one of the most famous movie musicals of all time. Weird, right? so none of us ever knew about it, even those of us who are like hugely nerdy, because it was swept under the rug. That'd have been pure amazing. I know, if he could have morphed himself into that, I mean, I would still love to see what he did, because maybe he did morph himself. Maybe he just didn't like what they were paying. Hi, sweetheart. You didn't like what they were paying either? No. No. But, I mean, it just blew my mind when I heard that. So if you're into, like, this is my first baby, yes. I love learning about this stuff too, Roxy. It blows my mind. I mean, the history of that alone made the book worth it for me. I made my mom listen to the book immediately. She is the best critic. I called my mom, told her that, and I was like, you better listen to this book immediately. Because my mom and I are the same kind of nerdy about stuff like that. And it just, I mean, it was truly an eye-opening book for me. So if you're a musical theater person, and the book was free. Like, I don't remember, I think it was like, I don't know, one of the free Audible ones or something like that. I'm sure they have it at the library. But regardless, I highly recommend it to anyone who's into musicals, even a little bit, because it's real interesting. Real interesting. She's listening to it, yeah, Sophie, because she loves that kind of stuff. Are you the cutest girl that ever lived? I think so. You love my pink hair. Thank you, despite the fact that it's a rat's nest right now and I need to wash it. The name of the book that I was just talking about, or the one that we're reading right now, Lucy? The one that, you guys, I can't remember right now. Does anyone have computer access right now that they could go to my Goodreads? I can't get to it because you guys are on my phone. I just listened to it. It's about musicals. Yeah. Worst case scenario, I can look it up before tomorrow and get to it, but I don't have a way to look it up right now. But it's logged in my Goodreads. It's called like... I truly can't remember, but it's the... I have the dumb. Someone tell me how to find Goodreads, friends. I can find it for you right after this. But Naisa's connected to me on Goodreads. Naisa, can you possibly, if we wait, we won't start reading without you, can you pop over to that app for a second and look, and then come back? It's real recent. I literally just finished it right before the baby was born, so it's not that far back. And I haven't read a whole lot since she's been born because, well, look at my hair. You guys see what it looks like to be somebody's mom. Somebody's mom. The movie musical. Is that what it's called? Okay, great. So it's called The Movie Musical. Brittany, I had her 1 month ago tomorrow, which is why I look the way I look. Yes, that's why I have all this acne and why my hair looks this way. Yes, okay, thank you, Roxy, for finding it for us. So it's called The Movie Musical, and the cover of the book, if you want to make sure you're getting the right one, has, what's his name in Singing in the Rain, Dancing with the Umbrella. You know what I'm talking about. I have no brains left, you guys. This is the thing that I have to tell you guys. I know, and Mina knows this, like Mina's in here right now. Mina, will you tell the people how good I usually am when I don't have baby brain at recalling musical theater history? I just can't do it right now because I have no brain cells. Have you listened to You Must Remember This podcast? No. Jen, will you remind me the name of that when I'm not on here so that I don't forget? Because that sounds like something I would love. You know what I have listened to? If any of you are interested, there's a podcast, I think it's called Snap, something like that. It's about, yes, Jane Basinger is the author of the movie musical one. I read, or Burn, or I can't remember. There's a podcast about about Broadway musicals that are like cursed, you know? Very cool podcast. Okay. Hi. Yeah. Should we read? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You're trying to tell me we should read now? Mm-hmm. Should we read now? Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. Spider-Man? Oh, Spider-Man, that book was good. You guys, I would read that book again if you were interested in reading that book. It's been years since I read that. So I don't know if you guys know this, but in my former life, when I worked on musicals, I had a musical theater blog. I also had a book club there, and we all read only musical theater-centric books. And one of the first ones we read was the book about the Spider-Man musical. What a wild ride that book was. I would 10 out of 10 read that again anytime. Fascinating read. Yeah, totally fascinating. Ray, I don't know if these things are what you meant when you said lighthearted, because usually when people say lighthearted, they mean like my book, like the one I actually wrote, like The Prince of Oregon is lighthearted. These are all nonfiction, but I mean, in a way they are lighthearted because they're not like nonfiction about, it's not nonfiction about like our world right now. Like it's about musicals, you know what I mean? So it's a little less like if I was like, read the history of the United States currently, you'd be like, Sasha, that's not lighthearted. That makes me want to cry. But movie musicals are generally lighthearted. Fits the bill. Yeah, it is an escape. And it goes through current times, but like it goes through talking about like In the Heights and stuff like that, you know? So anyway, that's all I wanted to tell you guys about. Okay, we have reached part 4. What is lost? Here we go. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Yeah, that was an interesting sound to say you're ready for this. Okay. Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day. A spell to delay a coming storm, requiring mere luck. This is interesting. Okay. I know that you're grumbly, but can I tell them what I think is interesting? Okay, thank you. What I think is interesting is that this author is using some very well-known characters, rhymes, etc., to like get their point across. But like in situations like this is basically telling us that the rain, rain, go away nursery rhyme that she is trying to escape, that we all say all the time, is they're positioning it as a spell that was passed down from mother to daughter, essentially, right? Like that's what they're kind of positioning it as, even though she's not outright saying that. That's the idea here, because it says it's a spell to delay an oncoming storm, but it requires luck. So it's one of those spells, you know? I don't know. I think it's kind of fascinating the way that this author is doing this. I really like it. Okay, here we go. Beatrice Belladonna never understood how brief a single day could be until it was her last. It's as if the hours sprouted wings in the night. She's crouched in the dim, dust-spectacled attic of an abandoned house on 6th Street, surrounded by a small ocean of books and papers, hastily scrawled notes and half-written spells for rust and sleep and sunlight, for changeling children and flying brooms. Candle stubs puddle precariously close to piles of poorly folded cloaks in a dozen shades of charcoal and ink, still smelling of summer. Yeah, oh, interesting, Amanda. I like that, an oncoming storm. They didn't put it in quotes, but I bet that's what they meant. Yeah, okay. In the middle of this mess, Bella sits in a ring of salt. I know, yeah. Sits in a ring of salt and fingers cramped around a pen and sleeves rolled up to the wrists, trying to ignore the feathered passing of hours. Her battered black leather notebook is propped against a mug of cold coffee. The pages are dog-eared and marked, and it occurs to Bella that if their plans go awry, it might be the only surviving record of events that isn't skewed by Gideon Hill propagandizing. It isn't much. It's part memoir, part grimoire, interspersed with rhymes and witch tales, a scrapbook record of their summer. But her fingers trail lovingly over the cover. She flips to the first page, where a nameplate is pasted neatly in the center. It reads, Beatrice Belladonna Eastwood, Assistant Librarian, Salem College Library. She blots out 2/3 of the nameplate and adds 4 lines above it instead. It then says, Our Own Stories. Okay, tell me more. You don't like that title? Well, she didn't like it either. She erased it, honey. She erased it. Okay? She erased it. Our Own Stories, being the entirely true tale of the sisters Eastwood in the summer of 1893 by, it says Beatrice, and then Beatrice is crossed out. It says Belladonna Eastwood, and then she crossed out assistant librarian and wrote librarian, and crossed out Salem College Library and wrote of Avalon. She can't quite bring herself to cross out the word librarian. It was her home and refuge, the thing she became once she was no longer her father's daughter or her sister's keeper. She thinks of herself now as a librarian, awkwardly bereft of a library, obliged to build her own. Except that she can't build her own. It would take years and decades, a lifetime of research and collecting, following every hummed lullaby and half-forgotten rhyme, and she doesn't have decades. She has but a few final hours to scrape together the words they need the most. Her sisters have gone out to assemble the ways and the wills, spinning through the city like spiders weaving mad webs, but the sun is already slanted toward the afternoon. The shadows rise like cold water up the walls, smelling of frost and last chances. You painted the snow with liquid watercolor? That sounds amazing, actually. I bet that's beautiful. I can't wait to see it. Bella wonders if the cells of the deep are smaller than her room at St. Hale's. She wonders if despair is waiting for her down in the darkness. It's ready to swallow her whole. She flexes her hands, remembering the deep bite of bound thread around them. The trapdoor creaks upward, and the smell of cloves and ink waft into the room. Cleo! Bella sits straighter in her paper nest and pats ineffectually at her hair. Cleo tosses a bulging brown paper sack onto the bed beside her. Bones clack as it lands. It's thin pickings now. The shop is practically empty. I know it was ready to swallow her whole, but wait, I lost something. That it didn't finish. Wait, but you're what, Naisa? Who was ready to swallow what? Tell us more. What's going on? We missed something. I bought what I could, and bartered or begged for the rest. Tell Juniper that she owes me. I bought those snake teeth from a little witch up in Orleans who gave me the honest-to-God chills. Cleo's fidgeting distractedly in her skirt pockets as she speaks, and it's as if her mind is elsewhere. I spoke with the daughters, too. My mother said to tell you this entire plan is quote-unquote dumber than a bucket of bricks and doomed to fail. It's sent before you are ready. Oh, I know. Naisa's leaving us all on a cliffhanger. Yeah. It's sent before you are ready. We're ready, though. We're ready, Naisa. We're here for you. Oh, you don't like cliffhangers. Are you so sad that Aunt Naisa sent a cliffhanger? Don't be so sad about it. She's going to tell us, I swear. She's going to tell us. She's going to tell us. She's going to tell us right now, I swear. She loves you. She would never make you sad with a cliffhanger. Never. You wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't make her cry with a cliffhanger. Never. Naisa, please, bring it to the forefront. Tell this child what you meant to say before she cries again. Please, you know you can't do this to me. Do you see the wiles in my eyes? That means I've been up all night. Please, tell this child before she cries. Please. Please, sir, can I have some more? What is Gideon's familiar? I don't actually know. Naisa, don't leave us hanging. You can't just laugh about that. That's not funny. She's a baby. You can't hurt her this way. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to stop and make you laugh in the middle of a serious book. But maybe I did mean to stop and make you laugh in the middle of a serious book. Me too, Amanda. I agree completely. You know, I have to tell you guys, that's one of the reasons that even though I'm on maternity leave, I know why is that name familiar. Oh, why is that name familiar? I don't know. That's a good question. I specifically brought book club back even though I'm technically on maternity leave because it's very good for my mental health. It's just it wasn't specifically about the book. Oh no, that's okay. I was still curious, Naisa. And clearly so was Jasmine. So like, don't leave a baby hanging. That's gonna be my new phrase. Don't leave a baby hanging. Instead of don't leave a girl hanging or don't leave me hanging or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. Doomed to fail.
If only she felt she could be honest with me, Bella murmurs. Well, and she said that she'll be there, along with any daughters who volunteer. Cleo smiles a little crookedly, although none of them much like the idea. What don't they like about it? Well, they don't like the part where 3 white ladies who know all their secrets wind up in the claws of Gideon Hill. You could literally betray us all. Oh, Bella finds her own fingers fidgeting now. She tries very hard not to think of witch trials and tortured confessions. Well, we won't. I won't. So I told them, Cleo says it lightly, but there's so much trust in her voice that Bella finds her eyes stinging. After a slight pause, Cleo asks, how are things here? And Bella flaps her hands at the crumbled pages. They're a mess. I've done the best that I could without the library, but I don't know if it will be enough. I don't know if we're enough. This is by far the worst idea that Juniper's ever had, and let me tell you, that is saying something, because when I was 9, she tried to sneak a fox kit into the house as a pet, and then one time she jumped off the roof with our kitchen broom in one hand because she wanted to fly. Mama Mags had to stitch her up. Bella's aware that she's babbling now, saying everything but the thing that she ought to say. She stops herself with considerable effort. You and I need to talk, Cleo. What we do, yes. Cleo's smiling, hands back in her pockets now. I'd like you to leave New Salem. Bella's tongue feels like it's the wrong size, reluctant to form words. Cleo's eyes form a matched pair of arches. It's a little late for that, don't you think? Quit smiling. I'm serious. You've already risked more than any sane woman should risk for me, and this plan of June's, the plan in which I play an extremely daring and heroic part, without which the entire thing just collapses. We could find someone else to do that. No, you really couldn't. Cleo, please. Eve isn't even your niece. Agnes and June aren't your sisters. I'm not your anything. Bella. Cleo's voice softens, the smile replaced by a dangerous sincerity. Bella looks away, knotting her fingers together to keep from reaching out. I can't stand to think of you hurt or captured for my sake. The soft shush of skirts, the creak of a floorboard. Beatrice Belladonna Eastwood. Look at me. Bella looks. Cleo's crouched on one knee, inside the ring of salt. Her eyes are blazing eyes in a precise center of her palm. Tarnished and battered, the cut glass gem is fractured and badly chipped, very much as if it was dropped from a great height and spent a summer abandoned on the weedy cement until a clever-fingered witch found it again. I believe this is yours, if you'll have it. Cleo's voice is less sure now, but higher than usual. As sure as I am. Bella finds her fingers extending of their own accord, trembling over Cleo's open palm. I thought one marriage was enough for you. I thought you said you weren't going to make the same mistake twice. And Cleo gives a one-shouldered shrug. It's possible I was mistaken when I said that. A novelty for you, I'm sure. Bella's breathless now, swaying high above the sky. No, it won't happen again. Bella's hand hovers over Cleo's, hesitant. She closes her eyes against the sudden pulse of memories. It's a thud. Her daddy's looking at her with death in his eyes. Thud again. The suffocating silence of St. Hale's, her hands bound together in a forced prayer. Thud. Cleo's voice advising her to trust less easily. Thud. The ashes of Avalon around her ankles and the taste of failure in her mouth. Thud. Her mother, who only chooses what was good and proper, who tucked away every piece of herself that was wayward or unruly until she was pale and an imitation of herself. And Bella opens her eyes, and she looks down at Cleopatra Quinn, bare-souled and brave, and entirely herself. Bella cradles her head with ink-smeared hands and draws her upward. Their lips meet in a rush of heat and salt. Cleo pulls away, panting slightly. Her thumb brushes the trail of tears on Bella's cheek. Is that a yes, Miss Eastwood? Bella nods once, and Cleo slides the battered and broken, perfect ring onto her finger. Bella laughs a little hysterically. Don't you need one too? She pats her pockets and finds nothing but a few snapped matchsticks, a candle wick, and a single rose petal plucked from the ashes of the library. It smells faintly of witchcraft and smoke, and Bella draws it out and wraps it around Cleo's fingers, tucking it between her knuckles. There, she says, I've made an honest woman out of you. The rest of the conversation is silent. conducted in the wordless language of skin and heartbeat, and later, either several days or merely an hour, Bella's lost track of the winged passage of time. The trapdoor squeals again, and Juniper's voice rasps into the room. Are you about ready, Belle? Agnes should be back saints save us. Her sister's footsteps pause on the ladder. Is it really the time for this right now, ladies? When neither Cleo or Bella answers her, being otherwise occupied with themselves, Juniper gives an irritated huff. They hear the clatter of feet on the ladder and a carrying shout. All right, I'll be back in half an hour, and I want everybody's clothes back on where they belong. We got hell to raise. That's a very, very cute moment. Very sweet. I love that they are so sweet, and I also love that Juniper's like, I understand that you need this moment, but really, is this the time for this? Can you put your clothes back on? We got hell to raise. The last time Agnes visited the working man, it was early summer. She was giddy and coy, half drunk with hope. Eve still slept safe beneath her ribs, and Agnes wore a cloak that matched her eyes. This time, it's early autumn, and Agnes wears a pair of men's pants and a tattered cloak the color of mud, with hair tucked beneath a cap like her features dulled by magic. This time she feels a lightning-struck tree, or a pitted peach, or she feels like a hollowed-out emptiness. This time she goes, and Eve is gone. The first time she met him, Mr. Augustley was feckless and fearless, with a gambler's grin and certainly nothing to lose. This time his face is creased with fresh-made lines, and his eyes are sober, almost frightened, as if he's found something that he doesn't want to lose. He sits across from Agnes with his haystack hair and his gray wool vest and a scrap of paper held tightly in his hands. A covered basket sits on the table between them, smelling of clay and river water. It does. That's 100% true, Ray. In case anyone's watching this later, Ray said, I love it because it shows so well that we can still have beautiful moments and the fight. Did you get the Kindle strap I sent you? Kayla, I have to be honest with you. My P.O. box is over an hour away from my house, and I can't drive the baby an hour right now, so I have to wait until my mom comes to visit me with my packages before I get anything from the P.O. box. But I so appreciate everything that everyone sends there, and as soon as my mom comes to visit, she'll bring my packages. But I just can't drive the baby an hour right now, and the P.O. box is a full hour away from here. But as soon as everything comes, I always post about everything as soon as I get packages in the mail. I promise. I don't leave anything, unmentioned as soon as things come. Agnes nods to the list in his hand and says, well, her voice is cold and flat. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure it's not lost. It's just my mom didn't come this week because she works at a clinic and she was exposed to something and she didn't want to bring any sicknesses to the baby. She usually comes once a week, but she didn't get to come this week because she's a doctor and she just didn't want to expose her granddaughter to anything, which we all understand, of course. He scrubs his hand over his beard, brow knit. Agnes, saints, I haven't seen you in over a week. No messages, no mockingbirds. Agnes flinches, hearing the echo of small bones breaking in her mind. And now you turn up with the devil's own groceries and a list of demands like... But he declines to say what she looks like, and Agnes avoided her own eyes in mirrors and windows, unwilling to look at the open wound of her face. You know what? She was fine, Anya, but she was exposed to some people who were pretty sick, and she just didn't feel comfortable, you know? But she's fine. Yeah, she's good. Don't worry. I promise. She's feeling good. Where's Eve? August asks. Agnes knows his voice is gentle, but her ears ache as if he screams her daughter's name. Here, look. From his breast pocket, he withdraws a small, smooth, polished thing and sets it upright on the table between them. Dark wood carved into the weary shape of a perched hawk, and Agnes can tell from the curve of the beak, the sleek taper of the wings, that it's an osprey, and from the watchful angle of its body, that it's specifically her hawk, meant to watch over her daughter. She pictures August worrying over it in the lengthening evenings, looking out into the lamp-lit dark of the city, hoping that she and Eve are safe, and she pictures him turning the wood in his palm, choosing to carve the shape of her soul, dangerous and dark, rendering each talon without flinching from it. The best choice is definitely to keep germs from her. Yes, 100%. My dad would have been a woodcarver if he could, and he taught me some things. August's voice is still gentle. Her skull pounds as if he shouted it, though. Agnes reaches towards the little hawk without meaning to. Her fingers tremble before closing her eyes and pressing her palm flat to the table. I can't. Okay, this is really cute. We disjointed this a little by me answering questions, which was my fault, but August carved a little tiny hawk out of wood that is a mimic of Agnes's familiar hawk so that he could like connect with her. It's very sweet. She takes a long and steadying breath. I need to know if you're able to work the spells that we supplied, Mr. Lee. She hears the long sigh of his breath, a sag of his shoulders. I'm no witch. I have it on good authority that everyone is a witch given the proper words and the ways. Agnes tilts her head at the covered basket. I supplied you with both the words and the ways. August's eyes flick to the basket and back to her face, and Agnes wishes stupidly that she could abandon her glamour and let his eyes rest on her true features and feel the warmth of his care on her skin. Perhaps she'll find him again after this is all over, if she's lucky enough to have an after this is over. The future has narrowed in her mind, vanishing toward the moment she holds her daughter again and nothing else. August's brow knits tighter as he watches her. Agnes, why won't you tell me what's going on? Why do you need me to do this? He eyes the list, lips shaping the words fire and changeling. Why can't you just work this spell yourself? We will be otherwise occupied. Doing what? Burning, I expect. Excuse me? On previous occasions, Agnes has enjoyed rendering Mr. Lee speechless, but now her lips are barely a twitch. Now the sun is swinging low, and they're running out of time. Because there's no other way. Because the witches always burn in the end. Because I want my daughter back. The last sentence is a strangled growl. The barman casts an abominable, take it outside, boys. Look at their booth. And everything leeches away from August's face. The hurt, the irritation, and puzzlement. And he stares at her for a long, searing second. What? Who? But it doesn't matter when, and he already knows who. Alright, I'll kill him. His voice is casual but perfectly sincere. The scar shines white along his jaw. No, Agnes answers, just as evenly. You won't. She looks at the carved statue of the hawk between them, the killing curve of its beak, and she knows that she does not need to tell him who will try to burn them. She takes another breath, less steady. I'm not asking for your outrage. I'm not asking for your concern or your advice. I'm asking for your help. Do I have it? She's distantly surprised by how easily the word help slips between her lips. Is this what... Why can't I read all of a sudden? Sorry, guys. Is this what it is to draw your circle wide, to need and to be needed in turn? August steadies her, and from the black snake coils of hair slipping out from under her cap, the hard line of her mouth to the steel of her eyes, he's not looking away. Who does he see? He sees a helpless girl, or does he see a hysterical woman, or maybe a mother gone mad with grief? But it isn't pity that she sees in his eyes. It's something several degrees warmer and far more dangerous. You have my help. His voice is too low, rough with unsaid things. I'm yours to command, Agnes Amaranth. And Agnes feels a heady heat through her, like summer wine. Men really ought to try offers of fealty rather than flowers. Aww. She lets her fingers rest on the back of his hand. The hand turns palm up, and their calluses slide against one another and fit smoothly into place. His fingers close around hers carefully, as if her hand is a bird likely to startle. Agnes thinks that maybe she should leave. She thinks about circles and costs, weakness and wants, and then she thinks that these hours might be her last as a free woman, and she figures she can linger in this very basement just a little longer with the heat of his hand around hers. She feels their body tilting toward one another, pulled by some secret gravity. It's gonna be dangerous. The words come out, slightly breathless. If it goes wrong, if we fail, you could lose everything. August makes a considering sound in his throat. And what do I get if we win? Still a man who can't back down from a bet. Still a man who likes his odds long. Agnes feels a helpless smile curl around the corner of her lips, despite everything, and she says, "A kiss?" She finds the distance between them closing, the careless blue of his eyes fragmenting into a hungry 100 shades of slate and lapis. His lips are parting in wild hope, and she stops a bare inch from his face. Be at the home for lost angels by dusk today. When you see Pan, you'll know it's time. It is so cute, and I love August too, you guys. August exhales a soft but heartfelt string of curses as she pulls away from him, running his fingers through the bright gold of his hair. And Agnes stands straightening her cap, and she tucks the wooden hawk into her skirt pocket. It knocks softly against her hips. He does ride for Agnes. It's so cute, and she took the hawk. Oh, and we need 3 brown branches and a good stout of rowan wood, if you please. The last time that Juniper visited Inez Gilmore's house, it was glowing and gilded. Her sisters were with her, laughing at their own daring, at the pop of champagne on their tongues, and now the house is dark, quiet, except for the tapping of Juniper's black yew staff across the tiles. She wades through the drifts of shattered crystal, torn pages from books, tangles of drapes, and the house has been searched at least twice since Inez's arrest. It isn't safe to linger, but Juniper won't be waiting for long. She isn't alone. Miss Jenny Lind sits at the polished dining room table staring at nothing. Her face is framed in long chestnut curls. The bruise around her eye has mottled to yellow and gray, like bad fruit. I know, right? Now you said it's so true. All these little moments are such hope in such a hard time. You don't have to come, you know. Juniper doesn't mean it to come out so harsh when she says it. She starts again. I only mean, but she doesn't know how to say what she means. That Jenny doesn't have to keep following her deeper and deeper into trouble, like that Italian witch who walks through the 9 circles of hell. That she's the first friend that Juniper ever made in her life, and the thought of her harmed on their behalf takes all the air out of Juniper's lungs. Instead, she just says, I only mean, this isn't your fight, 'cause you're not like us. You have a home to run to, a rich daddy, and a place to weather this storm. I really don't. Jenny's smile is brief and bitter. Why's that? Because Jenny pauses here for so long that Juniper doesn't think she intends to go on, and then she heaves a hard sigh and meets Juniper's eyes. Because my father and mother are adamant in their belief that they raised a son instead of a daughter. She lets that statement stand for a moment before adding gently, I never had a brother, Juniper. Juniper feels her head tilting. But why? Oh. She feels simultaneously very stupid and mildly aggrieved, baffled, curious, and shocked. She recalls the delight on Jenny's face the first time she worked the women's witching, and the silent clench of her jaw when they accused her of men's magic. The entire summer she spent shoulder to shoulder with the sisters she couldn't quite trust with her secret, and Juniper adds shame to her list of feelings. Before she can express any of these things, Jenny lifts her chestnut wig from her head, and beneath it, Juniper sees her corn silk colored hair has been cut brutally short. It stands in shocked tufts, as if refusing to take such abuse quietly. When I was arrested, they threw me in the men's workhouse. They burned my skirts, and they did this. She gestures to her hair, and Juniper imagines shadowy figures holding her down, the silver gleam of shears, soft coils of corn silk drifting onto the prison floor, and then Juniper doesn't feel anything except sorry and mad as hell. Does anyone else know? Inez knows. Jenny says her name with such care that Juniper thinks there are 1 or 2 things that she didn't know about Jenny Lind. And Miss Caddy Stone, of course, knows. That old. Yeah, she knew my father. She hired me as a secretary for the Women's Association after he turned me out. She's not bad. She's better than you think. She is. There's a brief silence. And while Juniper works to revise another half dozen or so assumptions, she says, Jenny, this fight, Jenny rubs the broken bridge of her nose. This fight is just to live, to be. It's one that I was signed up for before I was even born, and I don't get to walk away from it. Her eyes flick up to Juniper's and then away, and they have Inez, another pause, who I love deeply. Juniper stops her pacing after that. She sits at the other end of the polished dining table, staff across her knees, thinking about bindings and blood and the sideways logic of love, all for one and one for all, a dead even trade that adds up to infinity. She thinks how upside down it is that she started this fight out of rage, out of spite and fury, sour hate, and that she's going to finish it for something else entirely. It's full dusk by the time it appears, folding out of darkness. A black owl with burning eyes that speaks in her sister's voice says, "It's time." Wow. That was powerful. I saw a bunch of comments that I want to address, but I didn't want to stop in the middle of reading that because that was so amazing. Amanda said the amount of visibility and diversity in this book is amazing. I agree. And Roxy asked if we had all seen the beautiful, beautiful rendition of Do You Hear the People Sing that was done at the Governor's Ball. And I want to talk about both of those things, and also Ray's comment, crying in book club because this fight is to live and just to be. Yeah. This is very, very present, very poignant stuff. What a great thing to have written into this book, because it's a conversation that's happening right now, right? Have you guys seen all the signs that are very, very true? There's a bunch of signs that have been put up in cities and stuff that basically say a world without trans people has never existed. Like, there's this weird concept in some people's minds that live in modern day that like trans people are new, or like that they just popped up in the last like half century or something like that. It's a wild thought. It's an absolutely insane thought. It's a falsehood, but like they genuinely believe that. They're like, oh, well, now there's trans people. Now there's trans people? What are you talking about? There's always been trans people. You just didn't know because you were busy putting them in insane asylums. You were busy burning them at the stake for pretending that they were witches. They were busy hiding. They were busy passing. They were busy pretending that they weren't trans to appease everybody else. So no, it's not that they didn't exist. It's that you didn't see them. And that's a fact that I will stand on. We're going to stand on principle with that one, right, friends? I mean, really, let's be real about that. So that's number one. They do. They think it's like oh, wow, blah, 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 you know, whatever, like that. So that's a no from me, right? Big no. They think that they just popped up out of nowhere. Like, what a strange thing to believe. Like, when you know how... It's a strange thing to believe. I don't even know how to get into it because it's such a baffling thought in my mind. The other thing I wanted to say was about what Roxy was talking about. Did you guys see the Marines singing When You Hear the People Sing? When you give an underdeserved group more rights, you're going to see a big presence of them. That's 100% true, Anya. 100% fact. So the Governor's Ball happens, and these people, I have to tell you, they are so gutsy. They are so brave to sing Do You Hear the People Sing in the face of that orange man. Deep, deep. I mean, like, I was crying watching that video. Me too, Ava. Me too. I posted the video on my Instagram as well, Amanda, so that people would see it. I mean, it was so... I know the kids are just confused. Please, let me tell you, those children are not confused. You know who's the least confused? Children. Hey, Bougie Bunny, long time no see. Children are not confused, you guys. Children don't often have the best means to express themselves, but children are not confused. Okay? Let's be real. They know who they are, and they know how they feel. They might be confused about things from school, sure. Having to learn stuff, sure, but not who they are intrinsically. No, I don't believe that. Not for a second. No. If you have not seen the video of the Governor's Ball song, please watch it. I posted it on my personal Instagram If I see it here on TikTok, I'll repost it here as well. I haven't seen it on TikTok yet. I'll repost it everywhere. If you're on Patreon, Amanda posted a link to it on Patreon. Worth watching, worth spreading, worth talking about, because here's the thing with that I want to mention. The first thing I want to mention about that is that I think you're going to yell at me. Are you going to yell at me right now? Are you? Do you want to reposition? Should we reposition? Yeah, that's okay. We can reposition. The singing was beautiful. That's first. But what I want to say is I 110% believe that the entire concept of that song flew right over the guy's head, right? The entirety of the red side of things. I'm just going to use that term so that we don't get any flags on our live. You guys know what I'm trying to say, right? The people who are on the red, yeah, I think that the positioning of that song flew right over their heads. They did not understand what those Marines were saying, and they did not understand what the song is saying, because very frequently they believe that that is their side, which is wild as a thought concept. If you know anything about the French Revolution, that is a wild concept, but they believe that. The problem is they are all also very heavily paying attention to social media. So now the fact that everyone we know has come out and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe, that's true, Avery, I can't believe that someone was brave enough to sing this in his face, means that they are then going to be angry at those people when they find out what was done. Because that was a protest. That song is a protest by nature. I mean, like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Like, yes, I'm a musical theater girly, so I know, but like, it doesn't take a musical theater girly to tell you that that song is a protest, right? Everybody knows that that song is a protest. It literally is that in its nature. It is a revolution. That song is literally the lowest of the low people, quite literally chopping the heads off of the 1%, okay? We're talking about Do You Hear the People Sing from Les Mis. So, you know, there's no getting it confused, if you know what I mean, right? You know what I mean? Everyone who knows that song or who knows the French Revolution knows what side is what side. If you can read, if you have brains. And I'm not talking about reading like not having dyslexia or ADHD or any of that kind of reading. I'm talking about like if you actually have like a brain in your head. It's crazy when people send messages and he just sits there because he has no clue. Yes, I agree. But for the safety of those particular Marines, I'm kind of glad he had no clue in the moment, because he's a very volatile person, as we've discovered. And I want those people to be, they were brave enough to sing it, so I wish safety upon them. You know. So, anyway, if you haven't watched the video, I highly recommend it. If you know anyone in your life who is anyone in a marginalized community of any kind, maybe you recommend this book, right? It's turned out to be so much better. Guys, when we picked this book, I did not know this is what it was going to be. I'm so glad that we got this book. So glad. I mean, what a joy. Okay, so me too, Nagisa. My coworker's wife may not get to go today for, jeez. I mean, it's a mess, right? The VA is a mess now. It's bad. So normally I would want to read one more chapter, but I actually have to take her to a doctor's appointment shortly, so we don't have time for another chapter today, unfortunately, but we will do, more tomorrow. Marines are the ones to defend our nation, so they know. Her 1 year is tomorrow and her deadline was today. Oh, God. That's such bad timing, Jen. I hope that it slides under. I'm going to try and get a library card this week. We have to go in person and it's hard with 3. Ooh, that is hard. Oh, mine was able online. I literally have no idea how people can, I can't. It is the most shocking thing to me, Avery. It is literally, it blows my mind. It is actually the most shocking thing to me. I have never been more shocked in my life than with the way that things have gone, even in just the last month, that anyone still, we do, yeah, today's her 1 month appointment, slapping it to weigh her. Isn't that exciting? And defend, right, Jen? Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Sloth, I hope you have a lot of rooms in your house because we're all coming to Canada. Actually, no jokes. My husband is kind of like, do we move to Austria or Germany, where we went for our honeymoon? He's in love with that area. But like also, if you guys have been watching any of the videos from like Austrian or German people, they take responsibility for what their country did and they don't try to sweep it, excuse my hiccups, they don't try to sweep it under the rug, and they are not gonna let this happen again. Or Switzerland, yeah. Crazy. So anyway, I'm gonna go get into a position where my hair doesn't look like I haven't slept in a week, so that the doctor doesn't think I'm a bad mom. And then I will see you all later. We're probably gonna have a slime live later. Guys, we made 2 huge bases yesterday, not on live, just like in general. Guys, I have made 4 slimes already in anticipation of my comeback in March. So we are doing great. I will probably make slime later this afternoon on live if anyone is bored. Probably gonna make the ones for grab bags or maybe the slime of the month. Not 100% sure yet, but either way, it's all good because it all has to get done, right? Is one of them butter slime? Yes. Sophie, I think you are going, the theme for the slime of the month, St. Patrick's Day. So 2 of the slimes that are getting, so there's some butter slimes that were a part of a collection I made many years ago that I'm bringing back in like a new incarnation. It was an ice cream series. So they were called fantasy ice creams, and we had unicorn ice cream, mermaid ice cream, and fairy ice cream. And they were all 3 colors swirled butter slimes that were meant to mimic, like if you had an ice cream shop that was based on mythical creatures. It's silly, I'm silly, you know that. But I'm bringing back those. Yeah, the frosting butter is pretty amazing. So those are the slimes that are gonna be the butters in the March restock. They're remade a little bit. They're not exactly the same as the ones I made before because it was literally 2018, the last time I made them for a convention. But they were very popular and very fun, and I can't wait to make them. I've already got the clay and everything purchased, so it is ready to go. And hey, no one could ever think you were a bad mom. Oh, thank you. I thank you for saying that, Sloth. I know I just look like a wild woman sometimes these days because I don't sleep. But yes, we have a lot of St. Patrick's Day themed. Oh my gosh, I know, Freya. I wish I could ship there. I really do. Every time someone asks, I feel so terrible because like I just can't control what Customs does. They just don't let handmade stuff in. And I found out, like I told you guys, it's not even just slime, you know? Okay, it wants me to confirm that I'm a human. I am, but I'm going to a doctor's appointment. Boop. All right, I love you guys. I'll see you later for slime time. It's right. I'm taking care of the baby first and then me later. That's exactly right, Sloth. I love you guys and I'll see you later.